Hi guys. Okay, this one is for YouTube, so I'm going to um, go over, this is not as informal as I normally do these. Okay, so I watched a movie last night called The Institute with James Franco. And if you ever wondered if James Franco is like a big freaking weirdo in real life, based on this movie, I would totally say that he is. Like, um, yes. So the movie, I got it on VUDU, VUDU, for free with commercial interruptions. So, but it wasn't excessive. I'd recommend just getting it for free on there. So I watched it last night, and it's a movie about a mental health and psychiatric institute based in, I believe, in the late 1800s, and it's based upon real life events. And I tried to find information. It was the Rosewood Institute. And as I looked more into the Rosewood, I couldn't find anything about satanic ritual abuse and that's covered in this movie. But the things that he went over, I'm sure were inside information. So you guys know that I had done a series of videos called Vatican Cult Stalking. And it goes over how these people basically live in performances, and they run their rituals as performances. And it could be long, drawn out situations that go on for a year or 6 months or whatever. So apparently, what they were doing was taking it was like two classes of women at this psychiatric institute. There was the upper class women that went for like a rest and recuperation, and there was no like crazy electroshock or anything nuts. They just kind of was like a social club more, where they would just go for however long, and they had beautiful rooms, they wore their beautiful clothes. And then there was an area of the hospital called the pit, which makes sense, where they had women who were in really rough shape, and apparently they took like homeless women, disadvantaged girls, and put them down in the pit, and they were basically malnourished, not taken care of. They had like all had on like the basic like gray hospital gown. A lot of them were just visibly like just nuts. And I believe that was induced by torture. So there was two different classes. So the main character in the movie, she falls prey to James Franco, who's like the lead psychiatrist doctor in the place. And the woman, she talks initially about how she's curious about everything, and how, her brother stifles her curiosity, and even though she's rich and well-to-do and everything, she doesn't feel like she has like any kind of freedom to express herself. And back, I guess, in the 1800s, they said that a lot of her problems stem from the fact that she's too willful, and she's too curious, and she wants to see too much of the world. Well, when they're looking for candidates of scarlet women, what they look for is a willful woman, a woman who is like very independent, kind of rebellious. And then what they like to do is break her down completely, and through MK Ultra techniques and mind control, which this movie, I've never seen a movie go over the actual rituals and techniques and even things that they say, phrases that they say to you, because I went through this myself. I've had this hardcore for 4 years, and they're still trying to change me into something that I'm not. And the fact that I'm still me is amazing. But they even cover the path working rituals and all that. So the woman, she basically, like I said, she falls prey to James Franco, and he's like, well, I can give you the freedom that you want. I can give you like, the freedom and everything. And that's a key word that they use. They believe that when you are under their mind control, that you're free. They believe that they break you down so much that you don't feel pain anymore, that you don't feel anything anymore, and then that's true freedom. They're nuts. So in this movie, they basically take this girl through the process to the point that she's completely brainwashed by James Franco, who eventually just becomes her handler. And they use isolation tactics, extreme torture, and what they also do is they take away her identity. Every time that they would ask her what her name was, they would burn her with boiling hot water. And she said, I don't know what I'm saying wrong. She goes, and they were telling her, you're nothing, you're nobody. It was very triggering, because what they want to do is literally bring you down to the base animal instinct within you, where there's no conscience anymore. It's not good. And yeah. So they eventually apparently got her to the state called tabula rasa, which is a completely blank state where your old identity is completely gone. And then what they do is they insert new identities. And literally what they're doing is they're using like characters from books. And then what they're doing for their rituals is they're in the movie, and I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, but I would watch the whole thing just to see the process. They're taking her on a path-working journey where she just kind of gets led around and goes where her handler wants to go. And then as she's in this new identity, there's another girl who they did this to also, and they gave her an identity. And they literally just do plays together at the ritual, and sacrifices, and they're just led around by the cult to the point that they have no idea who they were when they first came in. Their mind is completely just gone. But I'm telling you, this movie, the things that they would say, my handler, I lived with him for 1 year in Huntsville, and I was tortured, physically burned, electroshocked. Every day I would wake up on the brink of death. I covered all this. The members of the FLDS church, the Mormon church, who are polygamists, apparently run some of this shit on their sister wives when they kidnap girls, and then they turn them into sister wives. And there was over 20 cars of them that had come. This is all documented. Those of you who've been with me for, a few years, you guys saw what I went through there. And I have recordings of my handler saying that they were going to take me to a sacred spot and remove the demons from me. And apparently what that was is my spirit and my soul. And when you become a scarlet woman, there's a process called soul cracking, where they literally just torture you and crack open your soul. It's an Aleister Crowley ritual, and they just pour demons inside you, and personalities and all kinds of stuff. And then you're just under control of this group. But if you watch my Vatican cult stalking playlist, it goes over all of the rituals, how they do everything, the stage plays, everything, to ruin someone's life. I mean, they'll impersonate married couples to try to lure somebody in. They impersonate entire parties, entire scenarios. When they're interested in you, in being in their cult or whatever, or using you for some kind of a sacrifice or just to break you down or whatever, I can personally tell you there is no expense spared. There is nothing spared. They will go to whatever up lengths. They have tried to lure me all around the world. I can give you names of people. I've had nothing but, it's been crazy. My entire life has been disrupted by this cult because I can't travel. If I travel, it literally becomes like this fiasco of trying to not get kidnapped. I can't really have too many friends anymore. But now, unfortunately, because it's a high level occult, you know, I'm from Chicago, so it's the spirit cookers that, you know, they like to have psychic females, and like myself, because we carry a lot of electromagnetic energy. We serve as batteries for everybody else. And we can basically channel interdimensional, you know, for the pathworking rituals, you basically go to other dimensions or whatever. And I know that I'm not the only psychic female that's been targeted by this. When I was on YouTube back in 2014 and 2015, there was about 30 of us on there, psychics, and we all did our horoscopes every month, and everybody was friends, you know. Well, they started targeting a lot of us, hacking all of our stuff. About 10 of them are missing now. There was another one that did videos about how they were stalking her. Well, 6 months ago, they pulled her channel, pulled her Facebook, pulled everything. I don't know how to get a hold of her or what happened to her. She was very attractive, an Egyptian girl. And so basically what it turned out is that this mental hospital was a human trafficking front, where the recruiter, doctor, not James Franco, but he's played by Eric Roberts, who's another creepy ass weirdo. I could totally see just playing himself in that movie. Apparently he would lure attractive females in, and people that the cult wanted, to the psychiatric institute. And then there was like a nurse there, and it was all human trafficking for a secret society. Specifically, the secret society would procure and create scarlet women and, you know, ritual sacrifices from this Rosewood Institute. So you'll find out even more at the end, but the end is actually pretty wild. It's like a complete, you know, change, but it proves everything that I've been saying all these years, how literally, if you are target of this cult of people, like the spirit cooking, the Aleister Crowley, high level OTO people, nothing around you is real. None of the people around you are real most of the time. Oh, interesting too is the Persephone ritual, where the Hades figure in the ritual will abduct the Persephone figure and then bring her to the pit of hell. And that's why if you look deeper in the symbology, that's why the basement, you know, was called the pit. And that's where they kept all the scarlet women, like the whores of Satan is, you know, what they will call them. And so that's why it was called that. That's the Persephone ritual and the Scarlet Woman ritual. But if you ever want to, you know, see how it's done, I have no doubt that James Franco is a complete and total Satanist. And I think he does this shit in his spare time. I don't even think he was acting. I think that's just kind of him, like, at this point. Yeah, but I would recommend watching it. I'll put the link below. I put a link to the trailer, and I'll put a link to the VUDU link also. So yeah, but totally watch this movie. I mean, you know, it can be rougher if you're a ritual abuse survivor. Some parts were a little bit a little weird for me because, you know, just the terminology that James Franco used. It was exactly how my handler would talk to me, and he would call me the star. People from this cult call me the star. When I look back at my testimonials from my business, the cult members, the male ones that would call, would leave star references. The VUDU Katrina, a band out of Germany, left me messages with stars. They actually chronicled all, like, my entire process since 2011, and basically the cult taking everything over in 2015. on a performance art. He had a band and performance art called For You, Katrina, that literally down to a T covered everything on Instagram and YouTube and personal journals. He did an interview, and nobody caught the nuances of my personality more than the man that ran this band. He did an interview in Czechoslovakian, and I translated it. He did the interview literally as though he were me. He's a transvestite, like a total tranny and everything. Those of you who've been around know about the For You, Katrina. You can look in my my photo albums, and I cover all that. And I think I did videos on the For You, Katrina, where the video kind of explains it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. These people believe that I'm their mother goddess. It's based on my birthday, February 19th, and the mother goddesses have a high degree of psychic ability. Arizona Wilder was one. If you're familiar with Arizona Wilder, did an interview with David Icke, and she talks about how the mother goddesses are born on the Aquarius Pisces cusp. I'm 2 hours into Pisces. They have a high level of psychic ability. They can basically channel anything without dying, which is basically why I'm so strong now, and have been through all of this ritual abuse and torture and everything, and I'm still me, because apparently this was part of the process. I'm one of the best psychics in the country, so you know, so that's really what it is. But I have proof of all of this. I'm not insane. Some days I wish I was, but anyway, I'm gonna go. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching. Bye, guys.